The stars hung like scattered diamonds in the black sky above Aurora 7, a small human colony on the edge of known space. The settlement was modest, a cluster of silver domes connected by narrow walkways, but it had become home to hundreds of colonists who dreamed of a life beyond Earth. Among them, Commander Ryan Valen moved with a quiet confidence, his steps measured, his eyes scanning every corner of the outpost. His reputation preceded him. Stories of his bravery and sharp mind were whispered among the colonists, tales of daring rescues and impossible victories that had made him a hero to humans scattered across distant systems. Ryan was not one to seek attention. He did his duty, and he did it well. But today, as he walked through the central square, a strange unease tugged at the edge of his mind. Perhaps it was the distant shimmer of energy on the horizon, or the unusual silence in the colony's usual bustle. The settlers went about their business, tending to markets and gardens, but there was tension in the air. Something was coming, and he could feel it. The Queen's arrival should have been a cause for celebration. Queen Selara, the young ruler of the Human Alliance, had chosen Aurora 7 as her first diplomatic visit in years. Her presence symbolized unity and hope, a reminder that humanity was stronger together. She was known for her intelligence, her fairness, and her keen understanding of people. But to Ryan, she represented more than authority. She carried with her the most precious thing in the colony's future, her young son, Prince Arlen. Prince Arlen was a curious boy, wide-eyed and energetic, eager to explore the colony under the watchful eyes of his guards. Ryan had observed him from a distance, noting the child's fearless spirit. There was a spark in Arlen that reminded him of something he had long admired in humans, the drive to explore, to survive, to thrive, even when faced with overwhelming odds. Ryan's instincts had always served him well, but nothing could have prepared him for what happened that day. The first warning came as a distant hum, barely noticeable over the normal noise of the colony. Then came the sharp flashes of light slicing across the sky. Alien ships, sleek and jagged, descended upon Aurora 7 with terrifying precision. The Krill had come. The colony erupted into chaos. Alarms blared and the settlers screamed as they scattered for cover. Ryan's body reacted before his mind could catch up. He sprinted toward the source of the attack, his training kicking in. The Krill were ruthless, their technology advanced, their weapons unlike anything humans had faced. But Ryan knew humanity's strength was not in matching force with force. It was in strategy, courage, and the willingness to protect one another at any cost. Through the smoke and debris, he caught sight of Prince Arlen. The child's small figure was frozen in fear, his guards already fallen under the precise strikes of the aliens. Without hesitation, Ryan dove, rolling across the ground and throwing himself over the boy. Energy blasts sizzled past him, some hitting his armor, others missing by mere inches. He could feel the heat, smell the ozone, hear the screams of settlers and the alien shrieks mixing into a chaotic symphony. But he did not flinch. The prince was alive because of him, and that was all that mattered. The queen appeared at the edge of the square, her face pale but determined. Her guards were attempting to form a protective line, but the Krill's numbers were overwhelming. She looked toward Ryan, her gaze locking on him as he shielded her son. In that instant, she understood the man who had so quickly become more than just a soldier. He was a guardian, a protector in every sense of the word. Ryan's mind raced even as his body ached. He had to get Arlen to safety, and the only way was through the central corridors leading to the royal safe house. He pushed himself upward, carrying the boy in his arms as he dodged falling debris and incoming fire. Every step was a risk, but retreat was not an option. The Krill were methodical, striking with calculated precision, yet Ryan's instincts guided him, his body moving as if it anticipated every threat before it arrived. They reached the corridor and Ryan pressed Arlen against his chest, whispering calm words, though he wasn't sure if the boy could hear him over the chaos. The prince's small hands clung to his armor, his trust absolute, and it fueled Ryan's resolve. The queen followed at a distance, her expression a mix of fear and admiration. She had witnessed countless battles from a distance, but nothing compared to seeing a human put himself directly in harm's way for her child. The corridors were narrow, forcing Ryan to navigate carefully. One wrong step, one stray blast, and both could be lost. But Ryan's focus was unyielding. He could see the exit to the safe house ahead, a reinforced dome meant to withstand even the most severe attacks. He pushed forward, feeling every ounce of strength leaving his body, but he refused to falter. A sudden explosion rocked the corridor, sending a cloud of dust and smoke into the air. Ryan stumbled but did not drop Arlen. His armor had taken several hits, and he could feel the sting of each one through the layers of protective plating. Pain surged, sharp and relentless, but he blocked it out. His mission was singular: ensure the prince's safety. Finally, they reached the heavy doors of the safe house. Ryan kicked them open, shielding Arlen as the security protocols engaged. The doors slammed shut behind them, sealing them off from the immediate danger outside. He collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily, the boy safe against his chest. The queen arrived moments later, her guards flanking her as she approached. She looked at Ryan, at the scorch marks on his armor, at the sweat and blood that streaked his face, and then at her child, unharmed and wide-eyed. Words were unnecessary. The respect, gratitude, and awe were written clearly in her eyes. "You risked everything," she said quietly, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "For him, for all of us." "Not anyone. You are different. You have a courage and loyalty that cannot be taught." The queen observed, realizing that this man was not merely a soldier. He was a shield, a protector, and perhaps the key to survival in the uncertain future humanity faced. Hours passed. The initial attack slowed as human reinforcements from nearby colonies arrived. Ryan and the queen strategized together, mapping out the alien positions and preparing for counterattacks. The prince remained close to Ryan, occasionally peeking out from behind him, watching the humans move with a coordination and bravery that he would one day understand. When the battle ended, Aurora 7 bore the scars of conflict. Buildings were damaged, some destroyed, but the colony had survived. Humans had held their ground and the Krill had retreated, at least for now. News of Ryan's actions spread quickly among the settlers. Whispers of the soldier who had shielded the queen's child with his own body became a story told again and again. The queen requested a private meeting with Ryan later that evening. She found him tending to minor injuries among the colonists, helping wherever he was needed. She approached, her presence commanding attention even in the midst of exhaustion and grief. "Commander Valen," she began, her voice firm yet warm, "your actions today, they were extraordinary. You risked your life without hesitation. That courage, that loyalty, it cannot be overstated. I must ask you to stay by my side. The child, he needs a protector like you. Your actions today remind us all why we must never doubt our own strength, our ingenuity, and our courage." Humanity had faced impossible odds and survived, not just through technology or weapons, but through courage, loyalty, and the unbreakable bonds between its people. As night fell over Aurora 7, the stars above seemed brighter, as if acknowledging the small victory of humans against overwhelming odds. Ryan sat quietly, Prince Arlen asleep against his shoulder, the queen standing nearby. The battle had been won, but the war for the colony's safety and the future of humanity in this region of space was far from over. Yet, for the first time, Ryan felt a quiet confidence. Whatever came next, he would face it with the same resolve, the same courage, and the same unyielding dedication that had brought him this far. And so, amidst the scars of battle and the whispers of gratitude, a story began to spread. A story of a man who shielded a child with his own body, a story of bravery that inspired hope, and a story that reminded all who heard it that humanity, even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, could rise above any challenge. The morning sun spilled its pale light across the rebuilt streets of Aurora 7. Smoke from the previous day's battle still curled from damaged buildings, but colonists had already begun the slow process of restoring their home. Commander Ryan Valen walked among them, helping where he could. Even minor injuries were being treated, debris cleared, and new barricades placed at vulnerable points. Despite the exhaustion etched into every face, there was determination in every movement. Humanity did not surrender. It never had, and it never would. Ryan's thoughts, however, were not on the repairs. They lingered on the Queen's words from the night before. "I must ask you to stay by my side. The child, he needs a protector like you." He had not given a verbal response beyond a simple nod, but the weight of the request pressed heavily on him now. It was more than a task. It was a responsibility that could shape the future of human colonies in this part of space. The Queen herself was busy managing the aftermath. Solara moved through the colony with quiet authority, checking on injured colonists, issuing orders and coordinating reinforcements from nearby settlements. She carried herself with a calm precision, yet Ryan could see the fatigue in her eyes. Despite her royal stature, she had not stayed in the safety of her palace dome. She had stood among her people, witnessed the chaos, and yet she had maintained a composure that inspired hope. As the morning progressed, the Royal Council convened in a reinforced chamber near the central dome. Ryan was summoned to speak directly with the Queen. He stepped into the room, finding her seated at a large table, a hollow map of the colony and surrounding area projected before her. Several advisors stood silently nearby, waiting for the session to begin. "Commander Valen," Solara said, her voice steady, yet carrying a note of admiration. "You performed exceptionally yesterday. Your actions saved my son and countless others. I want to hear your assessment of the situation and your suggestions moving forward. We need to strengthen strategic positions, secure the colony's perimeter, and prepare a rapid response team in case of infiltration. People must see that their leaders are willing to stand in the line of fire. Yesterday, they saw it firsthand. Continue to be present, Your Majesty. Speak to them directly, share the plans, and show confidence. Humanity thrives on hope and action, not panic. It is dangerous to place too much weight on one individual's judgment. Nothing more, nothing less. Ryan, I want you to coordinate the defensive upgrades personally." Prince Arlen sat at a small table, drawing intricate patterns in the dust on the floor, his curiosity unbroken by the previous day's terror. The boy looked up when Ryan entered, a small smile forming on his face. "You kept me safe," Arlen said simply, his voice earnest. "I wasn't afraid when you were with me." Fear is natural, but courage is what we do even when we are afraid. You showed that yesterday. He needs guidance from someone he can trust implicitly. Humanity is tested not only by the stars, but by the decisions we make in the darkest moments. While the aliens were technologically advanced, humans had the advantage of adaptability and ingenuity. Ryan relied on those traits, training volunteers to use unconventional tactics and encouraging creative thinking among soldiers and civilians alike. During a briefing with the young prince, Ryan demonstrated the use of a simple energy shield device. Arlen's eyes widened as he watched the blue shimmer ripple across a protective barrier, and the boy's small hands eagerly mimicked the motions, his excitement lighting up the room. Ryan allowed him a brief moment of play, knowing that cultivating courage also meant fostering confidence and intelligence in the next generation. As the sun reached its peak, reports arrived of Krill ships approaching from a distant sector. Scouts had detected small teams moving silently toward the colony, likely probing defenses or planning sabotage. Ryan's instincts flared. The aliens were cautious, deliberate. They were testing every weakness, every crack in humanity's armor. He assembled a small strike team composed of human soldiers and skilled colonists. "We move quietly, strike precisely, and protect the settlement at all costs," he instructed. "The Krill expect fear. We will give them resolve." When they reached the outskirts of the colony, they discovered a group of infiltrators attempting to disable communication arrays. Without hesitation, Ryan led the counterattack, using quick, calculated strikes to subdue the aliens. Despite their superior technology, the humans' teamwork and ingenuity gave them the edge. Prince Arlen, observing from a safe vantage point with his mother, witnessed the battle unfold. He saw the humans work together, anticipate the enemy, and protect each other. It was a lesson in courage, strategy, and the power of unity, a lesson that would remain with him long after the Krill threat had passed. The alien attackers were forced to retreat, their mission incomplete. Ryan ensured that no human casualties occurred during the skirmish, further cementing his role as both protector and strategist. The Queen, arriving shortly after, surveyed the scene. Her gaze met Ryan's, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. He had proven once again that human resilience and intelligence could overcome even the most daunting threats. Later, in the evening, the colony gathered for a small ceremony to honor those who had defended the settlement. Ryan stood modestly among the crowd, allowing others to receive praise while quietly observing the gratitude and hope in the eyes around him. He had no desire for accolades, but the recognition served a greater purpose. It reminded humanity of its strength and its potential. Queen Selara approached him after the ceremony, her expression solemn. "You have done more than protect my son or the colony. You have inspired them, Ryan. You remind humanity why we survive, why we fight, and why we continue to reach for the stars. It is the work of every person willing to act, to protect, to fight for something greater than themselves." The Krill were still out there and new challenges would arise, but he was ready. Humanity had faced impossible odds before, and it would continue to do so. With courage, ingenuity, and unity, nothing, not even the stars themselves, could stop them. As night fell, Ryan walked through the colony one last time, ensuring that defenses were secure and that the settlers felt safe. Prince Arlen slept soundly in the royal quarters, unaware of the dangers that had been averted, but already carrying the lessons of bravery and loyalty in his heart. Queen Selara watched from a balcony above, her thoughts fixed on the man who had changed the course of the day with his courage. Ryan's shadow stretched long across the colony's corridors. He did not seek fame, only the chance to protect those who could not protect themselves. And in doing so, he had become more than a soldier. He had become a beacon of humanity's greatest qualities. The Krill may return, but as long as men like Ryan walked among humans, hope would never fade, and humanity would always rise. Aurora 7 had begun to recover from the initial Krill attack, but the calm was only temporary. Commander Ryan Valen walked along the colony's perimeter, scanning the horizon with practiced vigilance. Even in times of apparent peace, his instincts warned him that danger was never far away. The Krill were cunning, patient, and relentless. They would return, and they would try again to breach human defenses. Ryan's thoughts were interrupted by the approach of one of the colony's scouts, a young woman named Lyra, her uniform marked with dust and streaks from the day's exercises. She saluted quickly. "Commander, we've detected unusual energy readings near the western supply domes. It could be a Krill probe or scout unit. We need to investigate. Prepare for the unexpected. Precision and teamwork are our greatest weapons." Ryan acted quickly, signaling Lyra and two other soldiers to flank the aliens while he advanced from the front. His approach was silent, careful, but swift. Before the aliens could react, Ryan's team struck, subduing the infiltrators using non-lethal restraining devices. The aliens screeched, thrashing against their bonds, but human coordination and ingenuity had won this first confrontation. Ryan examined the devices the Krill had planted. "These could have crippled our energy supply if left unchecked. They are testing our vulnerabilities." He looked toward the horizon, knowing that these probes were likely precursors to a larger assault. "Prepare for a major strike. The Krill are studying us, learning our defenses, and planning their next move. We cannot underestimate them. Later that day, Ryan met with Queen Selara and her advisors in the Central Command Dome. Prince Arlen stood nearby, observing quietly, his small hand clutching a model starship he had been building. Selara's eyes met Ryan's, and he could see both concern and determination in her gaze. "The Krill are persistent," she said. "Their intelligence gathering suggests they will return with a larger force. I want a full assessment and a plan to protect the prince and the colony. We must strike before they can organize effectively. I propose a combination of strategic patrols, hidden observation points, and rapid response units stationed near vulnerable zones. Humans have survived in worse conditions by relying on intelligence, teamwork, and courage. We will not abandon the colony or the prince. We will outthink them, outmaneuver them, and protect our people. That is the way of humanity. And Ryan, ensure the prince remains safe at all times." He worked alongside engineers to reinforce domes and build hidden defensive positions that took advantage of the terrain. Every effort emphasized human creativity and adaptability over sheer firepower, and the settlers rose to the challenge with determination. Prince Arlen was not left idle. Ryan found moments to teach the boy about strategy, observation, and the importance of understanding both the enemy and the environment. The child absorbed every lesson with keen interest, his eyes bright with curiosity. Even in these dangerous times, Ryan recognized that building courage and intelligence in the next generation was just as vital as protecting them physically. One evening, as Ryan inspected the colony's outer perimeter, he noticed a faint glow among the rocks near a ridge. Moving closer, he discovered a hidden krill observation post, equipped with advanced sensors and recording devices. It was clear they had been monitoring human activity, learning the colony's routines, and testing its defenses. Ryan took careful note and devised a countermeasure. Using a combination of smoke, reflective surfaces, and small, precise explosive charges, he disabled the observation post without alerting the aliens. The krill were clever, but humanity's ingenuity and quick thinking had once again turned the situation to their advantage. News of the discovery reached Queen Selara. She summoned Ryan to discuss the implications. "They are learning from us," she said, concern in her voice. "Every move we make they are observing. You embody the qualities I admire in humanity: courage, intelligence, and loyalty. Not just to me or the prince, but to every person here. You are more than a soldier. You are a symbol." As night fell, the krill made their next move. Small teams of aliens infiltrated the colony, using shadows and terrain to their advantage. Ryan's patrols, guided by his strategies, intercepted several groups before they could reach critical targets. Each encounter was a test of human ingenuity. As the aliens, technology allowed them to move faster and strike harder than humans could. Yet the combination of traps, ambushes, and coordinated tactics gave humanity the advantage. Ryan personally led one engagement, using a combination of agility, precision, and quick thinking to disable the alien commander. His actions inspired the volunteers and soldiers, showing that even against superior foes, humans could prevail through strategy and courage. By dawn, the colony had emerged unscathed, with the krill forced to retreat once more. Settlers cheered and morale soared, but Ryan remained vigilant. The aliens were far from defeated, and their persistence meant that humanity would face ongoing challenges. Queen Selara approached him in the aftermath, Prince Arlen at her side. "You have done more than protect the colony today," she said. "You have taught humanity to fight with intelligence, courage, and unity, and you have taught my son the value of bravery and loyalty. For that, I am grateful. That is our greatest strength." Yet with careful planning, courage, and human ingenuity, Aurora 7 could endure. And as long as humans were willing to fight, to protect, and to lead with heart and mind, no enemy, no matter how advanced or numerous, could ever truly overpower them. As night deepened over the colony, Ryan walked along the central plaza, observing the people rebuilding their homes, repairing damaged equipment, and sharing quiet words of encouragement. The colony was alive, thriving against all odds. Humanity's light burned brighter than any star in the sky. Prince Arlen, watching from the safety of his quarters, had learned more in these days than any lesson could have taught. He had witnessed bravery, intelligence, loyalty, and unity firsthand. He had seen the human spirit in action, guided by a man who had risked everything to protect him. And he understood in a way only a child could, that one person's courage could change the course of history. Ryan stood at the edge of the colony, looking out at the horizon where the distant stars gleamed. The krill were still out there, waiting, observing, and planning. But humanity had something far more powerful than alien strength or technology: resilience, intelligence, and the will to survive and protect one another. And Ryan Valen, who had once been just a soldier, had become a symbol of all that humanity could achieve. He had saved a child, protected a colony, and inspired hope. The krill might strike again, but the people of Aurora 7 would be ready. And when they did, Ryan would be at the forefront, leading humanity with courage, ingenuity, and unwavering loyalty. The sun rose over Aurora 7, casting long shadows across the colony's silver domes. The morning was deceptively calm, a stark contrast to the tension that gripped Commander Ryan Valen as he reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The krill had returned, larger and more organized than before. Scouts had detected multiple alien ships assembling at the edge of the system, their energy signatures sharp and menacing. This was no probing raid, it was a full-scale assault. Ryan moved quickly, his mind calculating every possible scenario. The colony had been reinforced since the last attack, but nothing could replace vigilance and precise planning. He gathered the strike teams and volunteers in the central command dome, the holographic map glowing in the dim light. Soldiers, engineers, and colonists listened intently as Ryan outlined the defense strategy. "They will strike in waves," Ryan said, pointing to the projected alien formations. "Their strongest units will aim for the communication hubs and the perimeter defenses. We must anticipate their moves, protect our people, and use the terrain to our advantage. Everyone will have a role. Every action matters." They had trained under Ryan's guidance, and while some still trembled at the thought of facing the krill, the confidence he inspired gave them courage. Humans might not match the krill in raw power, but they could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast them. The first wave came as expected, fast, aggressive, and precise. Krill ships descended, hovering above the colony, their weapons firing pulses of energy that cracked the reinforced domes. Ryan's strategy unfolded like clockwork. Observation posts alerted teams to incoming threats, and hidden turrets targeted alien ships with accuracy. The settlers, following Ryan's instructions, moved supplies and civilians to secure zones with careful coordination. Ryan himself was on the front lines, guiding human forces through the chaos. He moved with a calm precision, directing soldiers, shielding colonists, and coordinating attacks. When an alien strike team breached the outer wall, Ryan led a counterattack, using guerrilla tactics and quick maneuvers to subdue the invaders. His actions inspired everyone who saw him. Humans could face seemingly invincible foes and prevail through courage and ingenuity. The Queen watched from the central command hub, Prince Arlen at her side. She observed the colony's defenses in action, seeing Ryan's leadership in real time. Every move he made was calculated, every decision measured. Her trust in him had deepened beyond gratitude. She knew that with Ryan protecting her son and leading her forces, humanity had a chance to withstand even the most terrifying threats. Amid the battle, a critical moment arose. The krill targeted the royal dome, where the Queen and Prince were temporarily stationed. Ryan saw the threat instantly and acted without hesitation. He sprinted across the plaza, intercepting alien units before they could reach the dome. Energy blasts struck near him, sending shards of metal and debris into the air, but he pressed forward, using his body as a shield when necessary to block attacks and protect civilians in his path. The prince watched from a distance as Ryan moved with unyielding determination, his small form hidden but his eyes wide with admiration. Arlen had already begun learning the lessons Ryan had been teaching him: courage, strategy, and loyalty. But now he saw them in action, tangible and real. Humans could fight, protect, and overcome even the deadliest foes. Ryan reached the dome's entrance just as a Krill unit breached the outer layer. With quick thinking, he used the environment to his advantage, collapsing a small barrier to block the alien's path and using a concussive pulse from a handheld device to disorient the attacker. The alien faltered, giving Ryan the opportunity to subdue it with precise movements. The immediate threat was neutralized, but Ryan knew more were coming. He coordinated with other teams, directing soldiers to reinforce critical points and ensuring that every civilian was accounted for. The Krill advanced in coordinated waves, but Ryan's strategy had prepared the colony well. Hidden traps, rapid response squads, and precise targeting turned the tide repeatedly, showcasing humanity's adaptability and intelligence. Every setback was met with a calculated response, every attack with a clever countermeasure. In the midst of battle, Ryan discovered a hidden alien command unit attempting to disrupt the colony's energy network. He moved swiftly, infiltrating the enemy's position and disabling the device before it could cause critical damage. The aliens fought fiercely, but his understanding of strategy and the terrain gave him the upper hand. Each move he made reinforced the lesson that humans could overcome adversity not through brute force, but through ingenuity, courage, and unity. As the hours stretched on, the colony's defenses began to show cracks under the relentless assault. Ryan realized that the Krill were adapting to human tactics, learning from each engagement. He gathered his teams for a quick regroup, issuing new instructions. "They are observing us," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We must change our approach. Use deception, misdirection, and speed. Hit them where they least expect it. Humanity survives because we think and act as one. Remember that." Soldiers who had been hesitant moments before now moved with confidence, coordinating seamlessly to protect the colony. Meanwhile, Queen Selara monitored the situation closely. She saw the humans, coordinated efforts, and Ryan's unwavering presence at the front lines. Her faith in him grew stronger with every passing moment. She knew that the survival of the colony and her son depended not just on technology, but on the spirit, intelligence, and bravery of humans. And Ryan embodied all of these qualities. By late afternoon, the battle reached its climax. The Krill concentrated their forces for one final push, aiming to overwhelm the colony's defenses. Ryan anticipated this, and he positioned his team strategically, using choke points, ambushes, and decoys to maximize the human advantage. The aliens were strong, but they were predictable, and Ryan exploited every weakness. In the thick of the conflict, Ryan spotted a Krill commander attempting to breach the perimeter near the Royal Dome. With no hesitation, he engaged the alien, using speed, precision, and calculated strikes to subdue the foe. Civilians and soldiers watched as one man, armed with courage and intelligence, held back a powerful enemy, proving that human resilience could match the might of the Krill. The prince, watching from a secure position, witnessed the confrontation. His admiration for Ryan deepened, and he understood, in a way only a child could, the meaning of bravery, loyalty, and leadership. The lessons he had learned were no longer theoretical. They were alive in the actions of the man who had risked everything to protect him. After what felt like an eternity, the Krill began to retreat. Their coordinated waves had been repelled, their devices disabled, and their command structure disrupted by the humans' strategic response. The colony had survived, and the cost was minimal thanks to Ryan's leadership and the bravery of every settler and soldier who had followed his guidance. Exhausted but resolute, Ryan surveyed the battlefield. Buildings were damaged, some structures crumpled under alien fire, but the people were safe, the prince unharmed, and the Krill defeated, at least for now. He allowed himself a brief moment of relief, knowing that this victory was the result of careful planning, adaptability, and the human spirit. Queen Selara approached him, Prince Arlen in her arms. Her eyes were filled with gratitude, respect, and something deeper, trust. "Ryan," she said softly, "you have not only protected my son but proven that humanity can stand against any threat. You are more than a soldier. You are the shield that holds us together. Humanity survives because we work together, adapt, and protect one another. That is the greatest strength we have." Ryan walked through the streets, ensuring that civilians were safe and that defenses were secure. Soldiers and volunteers were exhausted but proud, their morale lifted by the knowledge that humans had faced impossible odds and triumphed through courage and intelligence. Prince Arlen, tucked safely in his quarters, dreamed of heroism, strategy, and bravery. He had witnessed firsthand the qualities that made humans exceptional, and he knew that, with Ryan Valen as his protector and guide, he could one day grow to embody the same courage and leadership. Ryan stood at the edge of the colony, looking out at the horizon. The Krill would return and new challenges would arise, but humanity had proven its strength. Intelligence, courage, loyalty, and unity could overcome even the most formidable threats. And as long as humans were willing to fight for each other, the stars themselves could not contain them. For Ryan, the battle was not just about survival. It was about protecting the future of humanity and the next generation, symbolized by the small boy who had looked to him with trust and admiration. And in that trust, he found purpose, courage, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The morning air over Aurora 7 carried the scent of smoke and repair. The colony had survived the full-scale Krill assault, but the aftermath left visible scars. Domes had been shattered, corridors partially collapsed, and the landscape bore the marks of energy blasts. Despite the destruction, humans moved with determination. They repaired, rebuilt, and ensured that life continued. Humanity did not give in, and it would never surrender. Commander Ryan Valen walked among the settlers, his boots crunching on debris-strewn pathways. Soldiers and volunteers were repairing damaged defenses, civilians helped clear rubble, and children cautiously returned to the streets, curious and eager to understand the events they had witnessed. Ryan's mind, however, was focused on the next steps. The Krill were not gone, they had retreated, but retreat was only temporary. They would regroup and return. Human survival depended on continued vigilance and preparation. Queen Selara joined him in the central plaza, Prince Arlen at her side. The boy's small hand clutched her sleeve, but his eyes were bright and attentive. He had spent the past days learning lessons that could not be taught in a classroom: courage, loyalty, strategy, and the importance of thinking ahead. He had watched Commander Ryan act with precision and bravery, saving lives and inspiring everyone around him. "Ryan," the Queen began, her voice calm but firm, "the colony owes you more than words can express. You have saved my son, protected our people, and shown humanity's strength in the face of overwhelming odds. But now, we must look forward. The Krill will return, and we must ensure that when they do, we are ready. That will be our greatest advantage. You will carry those lessons forward, and one day, you may lead others yourself." As the day progressed, Ryan oversaw final preparations for the colony's defenses. Observation posts were upgraded, communication lines reinforced, and hidden traps set in areas most likely to be targeted by the Krill. Soldiers practiced rapid response maneuvers, volunteers coordinated supply lines, and engineers repaired energy nodes and shield generators. Humanity's ingenuity shone through every action. They had learned quickly from previous attacks and were stronger for it. Ryan walked through a training area where young volunteers practiced defensive tactics. He stopped to observe a group of teens coordinating an ambush drill. Their movements were precise, they're thinking creative. He allowed himself a small smile. Humanity survived not because of raw strength but because of intelligence, adaptability, and unity. Every person here, from the smallest child to the oldest engineer, had a role to play in ensuring survival. Later, a transmission arrived from a nearby colony. They had detected krill activity in a neighboring sector, suggesting the aliens were regrouping for another assault. Ryan analyzed the data, calculating potential attack patterns. He realized that the next strike would likely be more coordinated, aimed not only at Aurora 7 but at multiple human settlements simultaneously. "Your Majesty," he said, briefing Queen Selara and her advisors, "the Krill are forming alliances within their forces, consolidating power for a multi-front attack. We must prepare not only to defend but also to disrupt their coordination. Intelligence, strategy, and rapid response will be key. We can survive if we act decisively. Not because we match them in strength, but because we are human. We think, adapt, and act together. That is our greatest weapon." Ryan was everywhere at once, directing teams, shielding civilians, and neutralizing threats. Every move demonstrated human ingenuity. Where the Krill relied on power, humans relied on strategy and coordination. In the central plaza, a squad of aliens advanced toward the royal dome. Ryan moved swiftly, intercepting them before they could reach the prince. He used the environment to his advantage, collapsing temporary barricades and creating obstacles that forced the aliens into vulnerable positions. He neutralized them with precision strikes, each movement a demonstration of human adaptability. Prince Arlen watched from the balcony above, understanding the lessons without needing them explained. Courage was not the absence of fear, he realized. It was acting despite fear. Loyalty was not just a word. It was protecting those who could not protect themselves. And intelligence combined with action could overcome even the most terrifying foes. The Krill's forces were relentless, but Ryan's preparation, leadership, and human ingenuity proved decisive. Hidden teams struck from unexpected angles, rapid response units cut off alien advance, and civilians helped in ways small but critical. Together, the colony operated like a single organism, each part contributing to the survival of the whole. As night fell, the Krill were forced to retreat. Ships departed in a blur, leaving the colony intact and its people unharmed. Aurora 7 had survived not because of technology alone, but because of human courage, intelligence, and unity. Ryan surveyed the battlefield, exhausted but resolute. His body bore the marks of battle, but his spirit remained unbroken. Queen Selara approached him, Prince Arlen by her side. Her eyes reflected relief, admiration, and gratitude. "Ryan," she said softly, "you have done more than protect my son or this colony. You have proven that humanity can face any challenge, that courage and intelligence can overcome even the most formidable foes. You are more than a soldier. You are a guardian, a leader, and a symbol of what humanity can achieve. Humanity survives because we work together, protect one another, and adapt to whatever challenges arise. Every person here contributed. My actions are only part of the story. Your courage, leadership, and loyalty have ensured our survival. You will remain by my side, guiding and protecting, so that humanity continues to thrive in this region of space. Humanity's future depends on all of us working together, and I will do whatever it takes to ensure that future is secure. Humanity thrives because of people like Commander Ryan Valen. Fires were lit, food shared, and stories of heroism told. Settlers spoke of the commander who had saved the prince and led them through impossible odds. Yet Ryan moved quietly among them, helping wherever needed, ensuring defenses were maintained, and offering guidance to soldiers and civilians alike. For him, action mattered more than accolades. As night deepened over Aurora 7, Ryan stood on a high ridge overlooking the colony. The stars stretched endlessly above, a reminder of the vast universe and the challenges yet to come. The Krill had retreated, but they were still out there, waiting, watching, and planning. Humanity would face new threats, but Ryan knew that with courage, intelligence, and unity, no enemy could ever truly overpower them. Prince Arlen slept safely in the royal quarters, dreaming of heroism, strategy, and courage. He had seen firsthand what it meant to protect, to act decisively, and to lead with both heart and mind. The lessons he had learned would guide him throughout his life, just as Ryan's example would inspire future generations of humans across the stars. Ryan descended to the central plaza, where settlers moved quietly, repairing damage and ensuring the colony's survival. The Queen joined him, walking silently, observing the scene. "You have changed the course of this colony," she said softly. "You have shown humanity at its best, intelligent, courageous, and united. Together, we will face whatever the stars send our way." He felt the weight of responsibility, yes, but also the satisfaction of knowing that his actions had made a difference. Humanity had triumphed, not through sheer force, but through courage, intelligence, and loyalty. And as Aurora 7 rested beneath the night sky, safe and united, one truth remained clear. Humanity would survive, adapt, and rise to meet any challenge. And as long as men like Ryan Valen stood among them, the stars themselves could not dim the light of human courage, ingenuity, and heart.